Hi there. So what you see on the bench behind me are the bases to these rolling mirrors. They use them in the drama class. What I have are one of the cross piece bases with the wheels on it. It sits at the bottom of the mirror and allows the mirror to roll around on the floor. I think these were an afterthought. So you can see how there's one of these cross pieces attached to the bottom of the mirror right there. Now these mirrors were made in such a way so that you could clip them together. Right? There's clips all the way down the side. However, when those wheels are on there, and they're not removable, they're permanent once they're attached, these become redundant. You can't use them. Which makes me think that these wheels were an afterthought. But look how poorly these wheels are attached to the mirror itself. It's no wonder they're breaking.
Buckle up your seat as I give you a day in the life of facilities maintenance.
And they somehow expected this thing to be able to hold up to people like using it. I don't even want to tell you how much these things actually cost per unit. They are not cheap when you start getting into something lightweight. And it's not glass. It's a, I don't know if it's some kind of a Mylar product or what, but these things will get damaged if they fall over, and they are so poorly made that they were going to fall over. The pieces are just breaking off the bottom. So I had to come up with a solution. All right, time for a little show and tell. First of all, I got a new pair of gloves. They're not expensive gloves, but they're clean. And I obliterated these ones so badly. I took a look at the video that I posted regarding the metalwork tables. And at the start of the video, these gloves were actually quite clean. And as for these parts on the table, I had these channel pieces actually custom bent. The mirrors are 3/4 of an inch wide. And I wanted something that was just slightly larger than that. So I've got these oversized by 1/8. The mirror will slot into this. I didn't want it to be really tight, friction fit tight, because as I pointed out earlier, that Mylar or whatever that material is on the mirrors is quite fragile. I'm gonna have to dress these edges before I do anything. But I'm really happy with the way these channel pieces turned out. I approached 2 different places for quotes. One place quoted me $100 and another place quoted me just shy of $500. So basically $20 a piece or $100 a piece. I'll let you guess which one I went with. And as for those really thin gauge bottom brackets that had the wheels attached to them, that's what these guys are going to become. Let me see if I can find a whiteboard so I can give you a visual image of what it is that I'm actually making. So essentially, this is what I'm going to be making out of those channel pieces. I'm going to bend up 1 foot, 12 inches on either side. Then these mirrored pieces will just slip straight down into there. The cross pieces will be welded with wheels on the bottom. All things considered, it's quite simple, but I actually want it to be simple. It just needs to be strong, and I wanted it to be base heavy. I didn't want to make anything that actually wrapped all the way up and over the top. I didn't want to make anything that actually wrapped up the sides and over the top, completely encasing the mirror, because then it has the potential to get top heavy, which means tippy. Bottom heavy, base heavy is stable. Well, after rounding over the corners, I dressed the ends a little bit just to clean up any burrs. It'd be nice to have a wire wheel down here, but there isn't one. I just want to get all the burrs out, any sharp edges, anything that might cut somebody or something. Like most things, the part that takes the most amount of time is all the prep work. You got to be kind of meticulous. I've got the ends of these all dressed now, and everything is safe to touch and smooth. Nobody's gonna cut themselves on it. It's not gonna damage those mirrors. And I've got the ends of all of these dressed now, so they are also not sharp. Next steps, I'm going to verify the width of the mirrors and figure out exactly where I need to bend these ends up 90 degrees. I do like to see this. I ordered these up at 60 inches and we could not get any closer than that. 39.5 inches is my width. Okay, my next step in the process is to bend these at 90 degrees. So I'm using a square. I'm just making a couple of lines here, and I'm gonna cut out these little tabs on both sides, down there and here, and on the opposite side. And then I will bend these up to 90 and then re-weld them. Well, I don't need heat to bend that. Actually, it bends quite easily. So now I just have to make sure it's at 90, and then I can tack weld it in place. I should also take it and, oh, there you are. I should also take this before I weld it, and then just basically dry fit it over top of the mirror that this is going to cradle, just to make sure that all my measurements are correct. Let's do that. Let me just make sure I'm at 90 with these first, and yeah, that's good. I'm at 90 degrees on these corners, so let's go check them now against that mirror. Okay, it looks like our measurements are good. This will fit nicely. All right, I've got a magnet locking this in at 90. I think I'm gonna slip this little plate, piece of stainless in here behind it, just to shield the magnet a little bit. Probably not necessary, but it's quite a large gap I need to bridge here. And so this will take some patience. So this is what I'm talking about. You can see how it's quite a large fill piece that I have to put in there. But you can also see that that is still holding exactly at 90 degrees. Yeah, that cleans it up in there really nicely. What I need to avoid is not have any sharp edges or bumps in the corners as a result of welding the corners together, because this mirror needs to slide and drop right down in there, and the material is kind of fragile, so if there's anything pointy or bumpy, it could end up tearing the material, and I don't want that. So this is good. I'm very happy, and yeah, I'll move on to the next one. I also learned something based on that big gap that I had to weld fill, and that is, I'm gonna cut on the inside of the line with this one. I basically made the line disappear, but didn't cut any wider than that. And another thing I can do now that I have that little mini belt sander, before I begin bending and welding this, I can take my little grinder and knock down and clean up these edges inside. Like anything else, the preparation is about 90% of it. Well, clearly the kids were using the welder again today, so I will clean this up before I begin my project. Better. Well, I'm at a point where I could make some choices as to how I want to proceed. I need to do a couple of things. I need to weld those cradles onto these bases. And I also need to weld an 8mm nut onto the bottom of these in order to screw the wheels into. order of operations. It's probably easiest to drill the holes through the bottoms of these first. And for bit size, it just needs to be slightly larger than the actual diameter of the nut. My cradles are going to sit dead center of this, basically just like that. But I want to be absolutely sure that the cradle is exactly 90 degrees in relation to the base. I want it to be perfectly perpendicular. So I have to figure out some way to make sure that happens. Okay, we're getting close. Using my compound square here, I can clamp this to this base and the table. So that is secure. Then I can clamp this against the perpendicular edge, and I've got this little spacer in here just to compensate for the little bump of the weld on the bottom. So that's got me at a perfect 90 degrees. Now the only angle left to play with is this one here. If I just weld one side, it's going to want to pull one way. So if I just do a tack on either side, maybe like tack it here, tack it on the other, tack it again here, tack it on the other, that should hold me from any kind of movement and wanting to pull one way or the other. And then I will end up with a perfectly perpendicular position for my cradle. Okay, I've got my 90 figured out right there, and I've locked that in place with my magnets over there. I'm ready to tack weld this. I just wish that this was more repeatable, because it's looking like I'm gonna have to fiddle around with every single one in order to do it. All right, I've put 3 tack welds on either side, so at this point I should be able to release all my clamping, and it should stay exactly where I've got it. All right, I'm happy with that. That looks good. Only 9 more to go. All right, there it is. Nuts are welded on the bottom to accept the wheels. So essentially, this is one done. I think I'll paint it. I also think that maybe I should go grab one of those mirrors to test fit it. Here's the mirror. And this is what I have to do with this. I have to remove these little guys in order to be able to drop this down into the cradle. And it looks like they're riveted in. Okay, it's got it. Got 2 bases completed, one of them right there, and the other one out here. So I am going to attempt a first and final fit on this first one. That will work perfectly. I'm done. You would have learned absolutely nothing from this project because this is a project that is so bespoke that it's probably never going to be duplicated. However, I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.